Hi, my name is Peter Fury. I'm on the Shizzio show, and this is a show very well worth watching. One of the great shows, great entertainer. Please watch this show.
Streetlife is the only life that we know. Ghetto life, down in the ghetto we born and grow. No, no, no.
Okay, we are back. Another episode. We want to say thank you to everybody as per usual. Please like and subscribe and press all them wonderful buttons. You got to press them. Apparently, a high volume watch, but they don't subscribe. How about that? And it's free. It's crazy. Real legend in the house tonight. I say it often, but I'm telling you the truth. As far as legendary status goes, we've hit the top of the totem pole. Let me tell you something, yeah? This gentleman, I know a few people that know this gentleman personally, and we were just talking off camera. The way these people talk about you, sir, is unbelievable. They light up. They've got so much love for you and admiration for you. One is Babar Ahmed, who we'll talk about. Another is Prince Naseem's brother, who's Murad. I was with him recently. As soon as I mentioned your name, he lit up. And there's such a great admiration for you, sir. I want to say thank you so much for coming here. But the legend himself, Mr. Peter Fury, is in the building. I wish I could have stand up. You know what I mean? How are you, sir?
Listen, that's a great intro. You know, it's I'm very humbled by it.
No,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We really
pleasure.
appreciate it. I know you've come from far. You've got a boxing event tomorrow, but it really means a lot to us that you could take your time and come here. As I was saying earlier, the people have kind of a reputation that precedes them. You have a reputation that precedes you. But when I meet, again, people that know you, they have so much love for you, and their eyeballs light up. And it's like, I'm seeing that often, and I'm thinking, I've got to chat to this gentleman, try and get him on.
Well, that's a very nice thing. I try and be as nice as I possibly can, and you can only be yourself.
Yeah.
And treat people with maximum respect and values.
Absolutely. I like to try and take it back if we can to where you was born and raised, sir. We try to cover kind of someone's timeline. So if anybody wants to really know about Peter Fury, this is your life. They'll be like, right, this is where we go. So talk to me, sir. Born and raised where, sir?
I was born and raised as travelling people, Gypsy families.
Yep.
In caravans. I was born in '68.
Yep.
Mother and father, brothers. Happy childhood, really.
So from my understanding, travellers came from, is it northern India, I believe? Am I right in saying that? Am I wrong?
I hear different things, yes. Northern India, even Jerusalem, Israel, that around there.
Right.
I've heard all different things, so how true they are. So your guess is as good as mine.
Have you ever wanted to do the research?
I haven't done the research, but what you're saying is probably true. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. So I don't want to get things wrong. I don't want a left cross in the face.
No. I think a lot of the travellers speak different languages, and
right.
Some of these languages does correspond with the Indian language as well.
Yeah. So born and raised here in Manchester, was it?
No, we travelled up and down the country,
right,
from place to place, but predominantly in the northwest, Yorkshire, sometimes down here, down the south, wherever they went at the time. We went with my mother and father. So.
And is this literally a kind of caravan life?
Caravan lifestyle, yes, definitely.
Can you just break that down then? Like,
we'd be moving from place to place, a few weeks here, a few months there, maybe a year or two, some places. It just depends. We'd just move around. It was a good childhood. We was put in all different schools around the country.
Brothers and sisters, sir?
I got 3 brothers, yeah.
Older, younger?
Older.
They were older than you. That's a good thing, right? You got the safety, no? Sometimes it's good. You got the safety net of.
Sometimes you listen.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter.
Travellers get a lot of stick in the UK. What's your opinion on that? Because it's not a good thing. I see it often. I'd go as far as saying the travelling community probably gets the worst stick, and I'm Asian, mate, with a beard. If I had a rucksack, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, you know, it's not fair. How do you take that, you know, kind of growing up? Did you always feel that, or is it?
I had it as a young kid. I remember going to school and stuff, and you was called gypsies in the playground, and
Yeah.
you know, all these types of things. But I've never been a man to. I don't know. Everybody's got different views on it, but I've never thought it's them and us.
Right.
I just put it down to people's ignorance,
Right.
and they're not nice people.
And the term itself, is traveller a term that people can use? Is gypsy a term that you can't use? Because I get it. I don't sometimes understand, because there's terms that people can find insulting. Just to clarify, what's the correct term?
Gypsies, travellers, that is the correct term.
Yeah.
We are what we are. You are what your mother and father is.
Mm.
And if you're not proud of that, then it means you're not proud of your mother and father.
Mm.
And I would die for my mother and father. So I am a travelling man. I'm the same as my mother and father. My mother and father made me, so I am that person.
What are some of the kind of core values as a traveller that you would say is kind of apparent?
We had very good core values. My mother and father, they taught us to be right and respectable with people,
Yep.
earn a good living, a honest living.
Yep.
So that didn't work out too well. But, you know, they done the best.
Yeah.
They done the best. And when we was young, we all had a good bringing up. I couldn't fault. I had probably had the best mother and father in the world.
Yeah.
And the best mother and father you can have in the world is a loving mother and father that puts the kids first beyond themselves.
Absolutely.
And they did.
And then talk to me about school then. How are you in school?
Well, I never had much of a stint in school because I left when I was 8.
Okay.
But I went from about 5 till 8 to what I can remember of it. I never enjoyed it. I used to colour a book in the corner and go into playgrounds, get into fights, not because I was causing fights, because I had it back. Because my father always said, you know, if somebody attacks you, you know, hit them back. And that's what we was always told to do. So
some would say that kind of the actual educational route is not pushed upon travelling and families. Would you agree with that, or is that something?
It's not pushed, but times are changing now. So a lot of people settle down. A lot of the kids go to school. I recommend education. Anything that enhances the mind and cuts out ignorance is a good thing.
Yeah. And then kind of talking about fighting, the travelling community do get a lot of stick about fighting. I went to one traveller wedding once. I'm not going to lie, sir. The fighting at the end was an extravaganza to the point where the bride's mother was on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a spectacle and a half. When kind of people say travellers, that all they do is fight and they kind of paint you all with the same brush, how is that for you to take? Do you know what I mean?
Look, in all walks of life, in all cultures, there's good and bad. You know, in everything they do. People just love to cause trouble. And the people that can don't need to. So you find this in all walks of life.
Fair enough. And then the kind of fighting that you're doing, are you fighting a lot? Is it kind of, what's going on? Is it just in self-defense?
In later years, I don't see any of it because I don't get involved in it.
Right.
If there's trouble there, I'll go over there. So nobody wants it, do they?
But are you kind of seeing a lot of fighting in the kind of traveller community?
I don't, because I'm not really mixed in the travelling community that much.
Okay.
You know.
But kind of growing up, are you?
Growing up, yeah, that's a different story. But we never really had much problems with travellers because my mother and father pulled us away because we would have had problems because we was brothers and we liked to have a fight, so that would have been an issue.
One thing I really like about the travelling family is if there is an issue, it's sorted in regards to, all right, if it becomes a fight, you have the fight and it's done. Would you agree with that? As opposed to today.
In most cases, yes, I would agree with that.
That's the kind of the honourable way I see things, to just end things. Do you know what I mean?
It is. You know, look, when I was a young fella, I'm proud to say that I've had fights with people, and today I know them, and we're friends today.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it. It's a punch up, nothing more, nothing less.
But that kind of old school mentality is kind of missing. I'm seeing outside, you've got kids with knives and whatnot, and it's become something. Do you know what I mean? When you can just have a good old fashioned walk round the corner and shake hands afterwards.
Unfortunately, it's not like that today. We're seeing many changes, and a lot of the values are going down, and down and down as we see. So it is what it is. But when I was young, a lot of the time there was hardly. I don't remember being knife crimes, to be honest. So, you know, rarely did you hear of murders going on, and it was just people came and had if you had a problem with it, everybody would say, well, I'll sort this out outside. Yeah. And out you'd go, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
And that was it.
Okay, so age 8, you're out of school. Is that common for travelling communities?
It was back in my day. I don't know what it's like today, but it was common because we was put to work early.
Okay.
My father had us working, knowing how to get our living, keep the family and stuff, and we all done our bit.
When you say work, what does that entail?
We'd go out with our mother and fathers, and they'd tell us how to knock on doors, try and sell things, do gardening, clearing some snow off the drive, all different types of the weather. You know, it depends what type of year we was in or whereabouts, but you just got to be a jack of all trades, really.
And what are you kind of mastering out of those trades? Are you kind of mastering any of them, or is this the case?
I think looking back, you're mastering the ability how to speak with people and communicate. Yeah,
be friendly with them and build a rapport with people.
Well, if you can't communicate with people, where are you going?
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think people lack that now. Even they're just on their phones a lot.
Do you know when I was in prison back in the day? I'll never forget this guy. He was a Cambridge. He was a Cambridge University.
Right.
Every qualification he had under the sun. He ended up in prison because he had drug habits. And then he done something. I can't remember what he did.
Yeah.
We was doing a course in the prison in the education. This would be in Full Sutton.
Right.
In 1996.
Yeah.
97 maybe. Around them times anyway. And we done a course, and I'll never forget it. He got a distinction with everything he did.
Right.
His writing was perfect.
Yeah.
And this guy, of all people, sat next to me.
Yeah.
You know, a traveller who's left school from P8,
yeah.
as thick as that cup, really.
Like copying his
in
answers.
educational stuff. Yeah. No, he'd just leave me for dead.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you know what? All of the paper stuff. So I passed things with a C and a B. Just got through, basically. The worst score you can get, but just straight through.
Yeah.
So
hey, a pass is a pass.
Exactly.
We take it.
So I was getting the passes, but shit passes.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's getting the best. So, and this course is going on. But then it came up to speaking.
Right.
Where they said, oh, there's a crowd of people and you've got to speak about this product. I think so. And you had to stand up and have a conversation. Do you know, this guy, when it come to speak, and there was only 4 or 5 of us in this class, and you know, and when he come to speak, he was like sweating,
couldn't do it,
cutting his words short. I got up there, it was the easiest thing ever to speak for England. Yeah. So when you contrast that, education is not the be all and end all. It's needed, but the best skills you can have in the world is being brought up properly and having values. Yeah. And being kind to people, you know, because ultimately we're nothing without each other anyway.
Would you say social skills beat the actual educational skills? If you had to pick a...
Social skills, good manners, you know, and respect. Yeah. You know, and your faith as well. Them things mixed, you're not going wrong in life.
And then just talking about faith, is that kind of brought in very early from your family upbringing? It
was brought in early when I was a young kid growing up, definitely. Like I said, my mother and father was, you know, they drummed things into us. And we lived the right way. Yeah. You know. What
is the right way, sir?
My mother and father, they went out every day. They went out getting a living. They used to come home. They'd feed us and looked after us. You know, my mother would be up at 5 a.m, get 4 boys ready, clean the clothes, send us out, whether it be to school or whatever. Yeah. Feed us breakfast. Come back. She'd go to work. Come back. Go to probably Morrison's or something like that about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Get back at 6 o'clock. Cook the dinner. Eat that. Wash up, and then wash the clothes for the next morning. That's the kind of life they had.
No, I hear that.
So
An ethic, a kind of a work ethic of
of all day, every day.
I hear that. What's the difference between kind of Irish travellers and you English travellers? Is there a difference? Because some people tell me there's a difference. Is there any difference? I know there's different branches of the tree.
The only difference in people is what people make the difference themselves.
Right.
You're not different to me.
Right.
And I'm not different from you. Yeah. People differentiate, and that's the world's problem today.
So when I'm bringing up the traveller thing, is that the wrong thing to do then?
No,
in your opinion.
But we've all got a culture. We're from a certain breeding of people.
Do you think people go to the traveller route to you, like that's the thing, that's the first thing they talk about? Do you know what I mean? Like, does it kind of annoy you? I'm just being honest. Because
look, I see people outside of boxing and also know high society people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of all different standings.
Yeah.
From people who's got no money to billionaires.
Yeah.
It's really, what is it?
No, it's true, but I've got to ask you because you might feel like people just want to go down the traveller route.
The difference between Irish travellers and English travellers is that they're in Ireland and we're in England.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. It's just how some people.
But travellers are travellers. Look, we come from Ireland originally.
Right.
We speak an Irish language as well.
Right.
What travellers speak.
Yeah.
So, we seldomly use it today because nobody seems to be able to speak it. When I go over to Ireland and I see Irish travellers over there, they can.
Yeah. And talking about the language, it's very distinct. No one can really, it's very like, if you know kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's almost not like a secret society, but do you know what I mean? It's like a real, how was learning that for you? Was that just the kind of mother tongue kind of thing?
It comes naturally from my father.
Yeah.
Because we do speak Irish travellers' language. And the thing is, English travellers don't understand it.
Right.
But Irish does.
So the English travellers have got a different language then?
They got a different language, yeah. They have they call it a Romany language.
That's right.
I hear some of that and I don't understand that.
Right.
I can get an idea what they're on about because of travellers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But some languages, if they ask me word for word, what's that? I couldn't tell you. If you ask anything about the Irish language, it's second nature to me.
No, of
my
course.
father spoke it.
And then kind of when you see kind of travellers on TV or like TV programs, sometimes they're not portrayed in the best light sometimes, mostly I would say. Is that annoying for you? Because again, you've got kind of mainstream media painting the traveller community as kind of certain way when that's clearly not the case.
My days are fully busy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if I put the television on and I see something and I think it's not for me, I don't even wait to see what they're going to say.
Okay, let's say, I don't know, like Snatch, the movie Snatch. Have you seen the movie Snatch, the Guy Ritchie film?
It's just fictional comedy.
Yes, but when that comedy is kind of amplifying kind of traveller behaviour in a kind of a negative manner, and then you're not being represented enough as it is on mainstream TV, do you know what I mean? So when you are, it's almost like the Asian guy's the terrorist with the beard, do you know what I mean? And it's like, fucking hell, mate, we can be something else. So I understand the frustration. I'm just curious whether or not you are also getting that frustration. Or
People can think whatever they want of me. I know what's inside my body, I know who I am, and they don't know me. So they can say and do and think what they like. I'm not interested. I don't get stigmatised. I don't get upset. I really don't care because I'm happy who I am.
But this kind of I don't care attitude, has that something you've grown into because of kind of experience, or is this how you've always been? Do you know what I mean?
When you get to my age and you live the life I've led,
right,
then you grow up and you get wise.
Yeah.
And if you don't get wise at my age, then you're a fool.
Yeah.
Because then all the years you've spent has been wasted.
Yeah, true.
So learn from every scenario.
It's true.
And I was the biggest idiot under the sun when I was a young man.
Right.
If I thought I could walk through that wall, I'd try and walk through it.
Yeah, please don't.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, sometimes the biggest fools can end up sometimes the best. Because in problems, in grief, that's where we grow.
Right.
We grow through problems and strife. If everything's going well in your life, where are you growing? Where are you learning? We've all had, some of the strongest people in the world has had very, very bad situations in their lives, so we are where we are.
And then kind of going back when you're kind of a youngster working, where does it, I wouldn't say go wrong, but where do you start blurring the lines between the law being lawful and not? Do you know what I mean? When does that start to kind of happen?
Well, you get money, you get a few quid, and then you think, oh, when I was younger, I thought, if I get this, I'll be very happy. Then when I got that, I forgot about that. Then I wanted that. And then when I got that, I didn't want that. I wanted that.
It's human nature, and it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's greed.
Yeah.
So through greed and thinking about materialistic rubbish got me in a lot of trouble.
What was the thing that you really wanted? What was it? A car?
I don't know what I wanted because...
What was it?
You know, it
the
makes
gold
no
rings?
sense.
What was it?
No, because when I was younger, I could get me living.
Right.
And I was successful in business, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I had money, and I had all these nice cars and nice houses, and that didn't really matter. So to answer, I don't know, because it was something different, and it was like somebody that if it was anything back then when I was younger, if I could do something what other people's not done, then that would spur me on to do it.
Right.
So I think that was similar mentality I had back then. Apart from wanting millions of pounds overnight.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
that
yeah.
helped as well.
Well, yeah, we all want that in it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, exactly. But that's the actions of a very narrow-minded person, and that's what I was at the time.
Can we talk about the kind of the route you go down and what you do, or do you want to leave that out? Do you know what I mean? Because it's quite apparent. I did a little dive on you on the internet, and it's.
I've been convicted of drugs in the past.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and gangland affairs, and organised crime.
When you say gangland affairs, what does that entail?
All comes under.
Allegedly, everything's allegedly, by the way.
It all comes under organised crime. That's it.
Right.
You know, so that's the path I treaded back then, and that's the path that I've left behind. So.
And kind of, are you in charge of this, like this whole whatever it is, this organisation or?
You're always in charge to a degree.
Right.
So, I've never been in my life a follower.
Right.
So I've always been able to do my own thing, and I've always stood on my own 2 feet.
And kind of, are your kind of brothers doing a similar thing, or is it just you're just off doing what you're doing? Do you know what I mean?
There was only me and the family that went down that road. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was literally greed.
I would say greed, yeah.
Yeah.
Selfishness and greed. That's what it was. I should have put my family first, my children, but I never. You know, thank God the blessed Lord gave me another chance.
Yeah.
You know, to wake up.
What type of kind of bad things are you seeing in that? Because obviously you see in the movies things go wrong, etc. So are you in that? I don't want to say it. Do you know what I mean? But
I've had everything.
how violent have you been, Peter?
No, look, you know.
How many heads have you found? I'm joking.
No. We've all had, I've had a past, and
yeah.
You know, it is what it is, and we move on. And I've accepted my past, and the people who know me past. So you can't hide from anything. You know, it's like a fingerprint. Your past, you carry your past with you, and what you do in your life goes with you.
And kind of the reputation, are you just building a reputation in as that guy? Do you know what I mean? Like is that what it is?
Back then, I didn't really care much about reputations. I didn't care about other people's reputations, so I never really thought about mine.
Okay, but are you aware that your reputation, I'm guessing, is big?
Not really.
No?
Well, back in the day, I don't know. I do know a lot of people, so
yeah,
I'm well known. I know a lot of people. I knew a lot of people in the underworld as well, so they call it. That's what the police call it, so we'll call it that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did a Google on you and they were calling you a kingpin. Is that a word that you would say?
Whatever they want to put a name on it, I see it something different, So
what do you see it as, sir?
I just see somebody that's, trying to be the best at what I can be at whatever I'm in at the time. So if they want to put me at the top of the tree, maybe, I don't know.
And just as a kind of ballpark, how much kind of money are you kind of making, allegedly, of course?
And I don't think I ended up making anything because, money would come in and money would go out as fast.
Roughly, how much was coming in and out?
It could be hundreds of thousands and it could be millions.
Yeah. And what type of things are you buying? I'm curious as well. Because this is what is this the 80s? Is this the 90s? What
I'll
is
tell
it?
you what it is. Don't ever think I'm going to come here and say, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm glad you've asked this question.
Yeah.
Crime doesn't pay.
Yeah.
I don't want young kids listening to this and thinking, hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah.
I had hundreds of thousands and millions before crime.
Right.
So I had money anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So let's get that clear.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to say to you, it doesn't pay. Yeah, look, you can send things wherever you're sending them. You can buy your commodity for that price and sell it for that price.
Yeah.
And when you're commanding movements of stock, then the value and the damage it's doing to people is lost on you. because you're not on the street level.
Mm.
Do you understand?
No,
You're
yeah.
dealing in distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't see what's going on the street. You don't see the damage that what you're doing to other people because you're not involved there.
Right.
You know, so look, everybody does what they're doing in their life, and I've been on the other side of life, so I've seen all different things, but it doesn't pay.
And then kind of just how are your parents? Are they seeing you do all this stuff? Are your close family seeing you doing this? Are they trying to pull you away? Or
My mother and father was horrified. I must have put them through hell and back.
Right.
And I regret every day of that because, you know, the most people that's affected is the people who love you and the ones you love them.
Of course.
So that's the things that I really regret about my past.
And then kind of when you get caught, do you get a large sentence straight away, or how does it work? Or are you kind of in and out? What's that process
like? No, I got
like?
caught on serious offences, so I got, you know, and then I got arrested. I never seen daylight for about 6.5 years.
Okay.
I got 10.
Yeah.
And I served a term out of that. As Babar Ahmed was saying, I just listened to him on there. He was in Cat A facilities, and I was in the same. So, you know, I got released. I never got downgraded. I got released on a Category A.
Okay, so why are you in a Cat A then? So sorry, what was the charge that they put you in for? Drugs?
Drugs, yeah.
Okay, is that a Cat A thing? Or I would have thought it's more murderers. I don't know. I'm just, you know.
Well, you know, back then the type of people who was on Cat A would be high-profile people for murders, yeah, IRA and stuff,
Yep.
terrorism, you know. So there'd be units within the prisons, and we'd be in them units. So yeah. The same as what he said.
So talk to me about prison life when you enter. How is that for you? How's the first day when you go in there? Are you firm in it, or is it a case of inside, oh shit, look at where I've ended up? How does it, you know, what's the kind of mind state of?
Of course, it's strange to you, you know. When I first got locked up, you know, I thought to myself, oh, life's over, you know. I remember a day or a few hours seemed like eternity. You know, when you've had your freedom took from you and you've not been in prison before, it's a lot to get round. You've got to be strong-minded in there. So, but by the time I got sentenced, I think I'd done 14 months on remand. And and I got sentenced and I was taken straight to a maximum security prison.
And kind of what kind of things are you seeing there? Are you seeing things that are shocking you, or are you kind of expecting to see these type of things? Because I've had people sat here and say they've seen things from suicide to kind of, I've heard spooning, the word spooning said to me, and all types of things happen. What type of things are you kind of seeing with your own eyes?
Look, if there's a bunch of rats over there, I'm not going to go and mix with them.
Right.
So I don't care what them vermin do, because to me they're vermin.
Right.
So I do my own thing. If them vermin come near me, they've got an issue.
Right. And did vermin ever come near you?
Once or twice, and it got dealt with.
Right.
And then I went back in my own little box.
Okay. Talking about Babar Ahmed, he's been here. He's had an amazing story. I can't recommend it highly enough for people to kind of watch that. Babar sat here and said he was in prison with you, I believe, for about a year.
That's right.
Spoke very highly of you. He was there on kind of terrorist charges. What was it like meeting Babar from kind of your side?
I seen Babar for a couple of months. We never really spoke. I seen him on the wing, and I seen how he was treated. And you know, I don't know, because of who I am or what I was or whatever. I commanded respect in the prisons, from down to the officer level, down to the inmate level.
Right.
You know, I wasn't somebody that could be messed around with.
Right.
So yeah, I had respect in the prison. I used to see him on the wing because it was a Cat A wing, and I used to see him walking around. He was very quiet, and I seen him in the gym a few times, and we never spoke. And I just seen the way people was. I think something got said. I can't really remember what, and somebody said, "Oh, you know, that guy over there, this and that." I just said, "Here." I said, "We're all in here." I said, "Who says anybody's guilty of anything?" I said, "You're telling me you're innocent, aren't you?" So I said, "How can you look at him and say he's done anything? You don't know him," I said, anyway, a few things come, and I don't know really how we got speaking. It's a small vicinity, and I said hello to him. Maybe he asked me because I was training in the gym.
Right.
And I think he wanted to know how to use his hands properly.
Right.
Because me and another guy was in there. We were doing boxing training.
Right.
And he wanted to know how I think I'd throw some punches. So I think that's how I got talking to him. And we become very, very good friends for the time we spent in there. I even had a few officers come to me and said, listen, it's not doing you any good mixing with him. I said, can I please tell you? I said, I'm going to talk to him. Whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen to me. I said, I'm respectful to everybody, but nobody can tell me who I'm going to speak to or I'm not going to speak to. And that was it. And we got on like a house on fire.
Babar says you commanded respect. You've just said it yourself. What was it about you that commanded that respect? Because I'm hearing, and it's not from you, humbly speaking, officers would knock before they come in to speak to you. He said that wasn't a common thing. Officers would just come in a cell. But however, with you, we're treated with, you know, can you put that, what is that down to? I mean, I'm guessing, what is it, fear? What is it?
I don't put it down to that. I put it down to respect.
Yeah, but to earn a kind of the actual respect from officers and screws and stuff.
I can only tell you when I was a young man, there's no bounds that I would not go if somebody crossed me properly. So I didn't see fear back then. I could handle myself, and I was definitely not a fool, and I was well connected everywhere. So nobody could really mess with me as such like that. So it was just the way it is. But you command respect because I was not a bully type of a person.
Right.
I've always been the same person.
Yeah.
If I was talking to you now, I'd be kind and be polite, but I'd be a lot younger. But obviously, when it turned the wrong way, I was different back then. That's all I can tell you.
Right.
The man today and the man back then is totally different. But I always had manners, and I must have got that from my mother and father. It must have carried me through.
Do you put that down to kind of a short fuse? What do you put that down? You being young, testosterone. What do you put that down to?
I just don't put it down to anything. I just think it's your mentality,
right,
and how you are. You know, I never had a problem with anybody at all. But if somebody brought a problem to me, then I'd deal with it.
But it would appear that no one wants a problem with you. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm being.
Many times they did, and you know, there's always problems. You grow up having problems. Look, I was brought up on the streets. Yeah. You know, I've seen violence. So I was in and around violence. So, you know, it comes part of the job, isn't it?
And then kind of a cat A. Who else are you kind of in prison with? Who you see in?
Whoever the cat A, there's a lot of cat A's out of London, crime families and stuff. Who else? A couple of IRA fellas I even speak to today. Yeah. You know, they've changed their lives around. One teaches dyslexic children. He's done psychology. He was in the units for about 14 years. Yeah. And he done the psychology courses and stuff. And he come out and he teaches children with special needs.
That's lovely.
So we don't keep in touch all the time, but now and again we'll put a phone call in over Christmas or something every few years. Yeah.
I've had prisoners sat here and tell me they've had drones come to them in their windows and they can literally get whatever they want. Would you like to pass comment on that? Could you get anything you wanted in there if you really wanted it? They're talking from food to phones to anything they wanted. It's all available apparently for the right price. Can you confirm or deny this statement, sir?
My security was too high.
Right, because you're cat A, right?
Yeah, that couldn't be happening when I was in there.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right, but if you fancied a KFC on a Friday night, could you have put that call in and said, listen?
I couldn't have a KFC because I'm allergic to poultry.
No, well, really? Yeah. Are you a vegan?
I'm not a vegan, no.
Okay.
I can't have poultry.
I've never met anyone allergic to poultry.
So I could have never had a KFC if I wanted it.
But do you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted something, if you wanted a Burger King, right? If you wanted a double waffle.
Look, I get what I wanted in general. Look, I never done drugs in prison. Yeah. You know, because to me, that's like petty street stuff. I'm not interested in any of that, to be honest. I never done anything like that in prison. Yeah. So I just give everybody, you know, a lot of the people in there that never had any money, they never used to spend their canteen because they never had any. Right. So if they had a £25 limit, I'd give them 50 quid to keep 25 and go and buy me £25 worth of canteen.
Okay.
You know, so I used to send them all money and they'd get me a canteen and that was it.
Okay, and then I suppose I've got to ask the question, where is your money coming from? If the police has probably got their magnifying glass over you and your entire finances, how are you navigating that? You don't have to give too much away, but do you know what I mean? I'm just curious.
My family helped me out with bits and pieces, and that's it.
That's it. That's the bottom line. And then just talk about kind of fighting and stuff. Are you kind of boxing, training in gym? Is that something you've always been doing?
I trained every day when I was in the prison, yeah, sure did. I got into skirmishes in there now and again. But yeah.
But just, are you kind of always training boxing wise? Like, has that always been brought, like, have you been brought up doing that kind of thing?
When I was younger, when I was in prison, I trained probably like a lunatic, 4 or 5 hours a day, even to make myself tired and stuff. But when you come out, you've got responsibilities, and you know, when you get older, I don't do so much now. I tick over in the gym,
yeah,
but I'm not a fitness fanatic.
And then kind of, so then what's the best thing that one can do to pass that amount of time, or is there just no rule book on, you know, for anyone out there, perhaps? You know, sorry to interrupt, someone stopped me the other day and said, I'll watch your things in prison, and they helped me, and he spotted me and walked off. So I'm just saying, if there's anyone out, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what the best thing you can do in prison? Look, never follow what another person's doing.
Yeah.
Be yourself. And the best advice I can give to anybody in prison is keep off the drugs, because it's full of drugs in the prisons, you know. And people get on gear and they do desperate things, but you know, don't do drugs. Stay healthy, stay in the gym, and get through your sentence. And keep yourself to yourself, and don't get influenced by other people in there, because that can be their undoing.
Okay, you serve your porridge.
Yeah.
You're out. Is your mindset now like, I'm stopping this life? What happens?
Yeah, I went back in again years later.
Okay, for similar things?
Yeah, I was accused of many things.
Right.
But it didn't go anywhere. And then
was that a remand situation then?
That was a remand situation again.
Right.
So I'd done time served. I think I'd done another 2 years in.
Right.
And that was money laundering in the end,
right,
which reverted back to my original sentence.
Right.
So yeah,
yep.
That's what it was.
So kind of, are you trying to avoid the prison life? Like, obviously everyone is, but I'm saying, when do you make that active choice of, this shit's got to stop? It's not doing me no good.
Well, you know, when I come out, I was in, you know, I was hunted up and down for another 10 years. I was in court for 6 years, spent 2 years in, you know, so I think court cases lasted 5 or 6 years of money laundering and all this.
Okay.
So I'd done a 3-month trial in Liverpool Crown Court. I'd done other trials 3 and 4 months at a time in Manchester Crown Court.
Right.
So it was a big ordeal. They wanted, to be honest with you, they wanted me very, very badly. The authorities wanted me extremely badly.
And why is that, in your opinion? Because
they seen the type of person I was, and they must have seen me ultimately as a danger.
Right.
So, you know, maybe I was, but look, some people would look at them and have a hatred towards them because they tried to ruin your life. But I don't look at life like that. Everything I've got, I deserved. So they've done me a favour, because they've helped turn me into the man I am today, where I've seen the right side of things. So like I say, it goes back to my conversation before. You are the man from the adversities you come through. Nobody knows what it's like to be hunted down. You know you're a wanted man. You know you can't speak to your friends because they've probably been offered a lot of money to turn you over and, you know, say things. So you got to look at everybody with a suspicion.
Right.
And this is all the way it is. So you web titans around you. People ain't been in that position. People ain't been in that position where they're in a cell, 23, 24-hour bang up, looking 35 to 37 years. And and barristers and QCs telling you the best in the country that they can't do anything for you. It's, you know, you're going to have to face it, you're going to have to do the time. People ain't been in these positions. So before people get in any trouble, people need to look at that, because there's nothing glamorous about prison. There's nothing glamorous about losing your freedom, knowing that you're a lucky man if you've got 75 years and you're about to get 36 of them. So what's glamorous in that?
So was 36 was you looking at 36?
In separate sentences, yeah.
Yeah. How much have you served in total, sir?
I've served about 6.5, So about 8, just under 9 years.
Right, and then, so when was the final time that you said, right, I can't do this anymore? Or was there a specific moment, or?
I know the penny dropped for me when I come out the court after the money laundering. I had a very, very good judge. He was a fair man. People wouldn't say that's a fair man. It cost me over £1 million, but
What did, sorry?
the fine.
Oh, they fined you £1 million. And you paid that straight away? Like, here you go.
No, I never had it.
Let me just lift this floorboard. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I had to sell stuff to pay it, and I was late in paying it, so I ended up paying about 1.1 or something.
Right.
Or 1.2.
But you paid it off, though?
Paid it off, yeah.
We love that.
That's it. No, I paid me dues.
Yeah.
So I've done my time and I've paid me dues and it's not worked. That's it. I don't recommend crime and I don't recommend anything.
Yeah, absolutely. But the penny dropped at that when you got that last kind
Yeah,
of...
I come out and basically I was given a second chance at life and I took it. And everything seemed to have more value to me.
Right.
I see now my wife had suffered. She stood by me with the kids, bringing them up.
Yeah.
You know, and when I look at it, like I said, selfish, greed, not understanding, very narrow-minded and not realising what you can lose, because you're not gifted anything and you can lose everything you've got in an heartbeat. So, and what I mean by everything we've got is not material things. I want about your family. When you're inside, kids can go astray. You're not there. There's no father there. Your wife's going through turmoil, bringing kids up on their own. All of these type of things is not nice. It's a massive strain, to say the least, on your family.
Right, so it would appear when you come out and you change your life, you get into boxing training. Am I right in saying that?
Definitely, yeah.
Obviously, it appears that you then train Tyson Fury. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
That's right, yeah.
Did you know, obviously, then that he could do what he could do, or was it just a case of you're passing your time, or I don't know, how was it? How serious were you into it?
It was passing me time, it's family again, so, it's family, isn't it? So you're going to help the family, so
yeah,
that's what it was, really.
And you come from a boxing family. A lot of the family, I believe, are boxing. So you're training most of the family, or is it just specifically kind of Tyson?
No, I've got my son. I've got other fighters. I've trained quite a few fighters over the years.
And was there something specific about Tyson that you was like, this stands out, or?
Not really. He come to me. He got made what he wanted out of life, and he moved on, and that's it.
Because the Klitschko fight apparently is praises go to you. Can we talk about that situation? Obviously,
I got bad memories of all of it.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's out my mind.
Oh,
it's a chapter that's gone and finished with.
Okay, because it would appear obviously he won a title because of you. So I'm trying to figure out the bad memory.
No. I have
not because of you, but obviously you trained him, right?
I don't want to take zero credit for it.
Really?
I don't want zero credit for anything around that.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. It appears you don't want to speak about that.
No, I'm not really interested. I think the thing is, we just move on with our lives and that's it.
It does appear. Okay, I'll leave it. I'm getting him mad. I don't want to.
No, I'm not mad
no,
at all.
I don't want to, but it just appears that you're not talking and you don't want to pass comment.
No, I don't want any gratitude from it even. I don't want just nothing.
Do you watch his fights since then and onwards, or you're not on? Look.
Sure, whenever I've seen some of the fights, he's done very well for himself.
What are the standout fights that you've seen? You really?
It's boxing. He does what he does, and he does it well.
And when he obviously had his losses, can you pass comment on that, or am I pushing too hard? And should I shut the fuck up? Do you know what I mean?
Family's family, isn't it? I wish them all the best. That's it.
Do you think he's retired?
I don't care if he's retired or not.
In your opinion?
Well, let's just move on to another subject.
Okay, let's leave it. Can we talk about Tommy, or you don't want to talk?
No, I'm not interested.
You want to leave that? Okay, no problem. Can I move on to? Sorry, by the way, I've just
Yes, all right. You can ask whatever you want.
If I don't ask, then I'm gonna get. Babar has sent some questions.
Don't ask, you don't get.
This is it. This is it. All right.
That's very true.
Just keep that hand down there. Motherfucker. Babar has sent some questions, so I thought it'd be a great idea if Babar kind of asks you these questions. So if you bear with me, I asked Babar if he would ask some questions. Obviously, you've got a great history with him. In the 90s, you spent time in prison with Irish Republican prisoners. How was that How were they as people? This is from Babar.
I can only speak. You know, we're in a close knit community. There was nice people.
Yeah.
What I found strange was I liked the Rebel Irish songs, and you know this guy's in for terrorism charges. He gets out on the Good Friday Agreement. He's got like numerous life sentences, and he likes Celine Dion.
Yeah.
So you'd think he'd like the Irish Rebel songs, and I'd like Celine Dion.
Right.
It was the opposite way about.
Yeah.
So I used to listen to his music next door,
Right.
and he'd be listening to mine.
You could ask him about the year he spent with me at HMP. We've done that in Manchester 2007. Ask him about masculinity and his view on what the values and principles of a real man should have. What would he say to young men today who aspire to be real men?
That's a good question.
Because
Babar to come up with it. He would come up with these kind of.
So let's break it down. Ask him about masculinity and his views of what the values and principles of a real man should have, especially in 2025.
A real man will protect his family at all cost.
Right.
A real man will show, you know, kindness when he doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's all about, I would say, being humble in yourself, thanking the blessed Lord, because without the blessed Lord, you're nothing.
Mm.
So I'm grateful to the blessed Lord for him putting me in the position and giving me a second chance at life and keeping my family safe and the people that matter to me. I'm grateful for that.
What would he say to young men today who aspire to be real men?
Don't be led on by others. Do your own thing and don't bend over. And what I mean by bending over is for other people to get money.
Right.
Be yourself. I'd rather have nothing than swallow my soul and do things for money what I know is not right.
Yeah. How did his parents bring him up to treat women? That's from Babar. So you can't have a go at me.
How you treat women with maximum respect. You know, listen, we've got mothers, we've got wives. You know, if you can't put them on a pedestal, you're not a man.
Absolutely true. What advice would Pete of today give the 10-year-old Pete about life? If you could speak to your 10-year-old self.
I'd have done things a lot differently. I'd have kept out of trouble.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have went nowhere near a hot furnace. You know, look, put your hands in the fire, you're going to get burned. So I'd have just, I'd have done a bypass.
What are 3 mistakes or wrong decisions he has made in his life, and looking back after what he knows now, he wished he had acted differently?
I wish I'd have acted differently, and I would have acted differently because I'm a man of faith, and people of faith doesn't do the things I'd done back then.
Right.
So listen, you can't have regrets. You've lived that life, and if I'd have probably never lived that life, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Mm.
You know, so I've lived it. I've been there. I've seen every kind of scenario. And when I say sometimes on some interviews, I say, look, I can see through people's body. I can see right in the soul because I've seen every make, I've seen every characteristic, I've seen every deviousness, every slyness there is in any human being ever existed in this world. I've seen it. So
I believe you've seen it, trust me.
I'm fully aware of what life has to offer. And I'm fully aware of beautiful people. And there's plenty of them left.
I hope so.
There is.
I hope so, sir. Ask him why he thinks we connected when there were lots of other prisoners in that prison unit he could have socialised with.
Babar, he lived clean and he was a man of the blessed Lord.
Yeah.
And if he's a man of the blessed Lord, he's a brother of mine. So we got on. We shared the same values. You know, he was a deep man of faith. We used to say prayers together. He'd read the Quran to me. I'd read a bit of my Bible and stuff. Listen, my belief is Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Muslim, but I respect Muslims. Any man of God. I've listened to the words of the Quran. It's God's words. There's only one God, but I see Jesus Christ as our Redeemer. That's probably a difference. But we are where we are. We're all men of faith, me and him. So, look, I respected Babar as well because what people don't understand, we're looking at a man here who's about to go to the USA and spend 250 years in concrete walls and never see daylight ever again.
Yeah.
But he used to sit in a cell with me and say, Peter, whatever my destiny is, God's ordained it. And whatever I'm going to get, and I'm going to accept it. If this was what the blessed Lord wishes for me, that's what he wishes for me. So I admire that strength of faith when you're looking, you've lost your family, and you're going to spend the rest of your life, and that's you're done. And you know, when you get to them American high units, life is literally over.
How do you keep kind of PTSD out of your head, depression and those type of things from kind of entering, and those type of demons?
You've got to be strong in your mind, and again, strong in your faith, you know, and that's it. And look, the blessed Lord's answered me a few times, and I know there's life after death. I know there is a blessed Lord. So, you know, if somebody said to me, "You're going to get shot right now," you know, tell me there's not a blessed Lord, I'd say, pull the trigger. You know, it's like that. Totally. So my faith is totally strong. Babar's was strong.
Yeah.
There was probably only me and him in the system that kind of faith, that strong faith. So we identified with each other like that.
He's written here, he once stood up to the prison officers for me because senior prison officers told him not to associate with me as it may affect my reputation, his reputation. Pete put him in his place. He says he never forgets that, and obviously he's thankful for that. Are you aware of how much goodness you've brought to people despite perhaps having this cloud of kind of negativity over you, criminal king? Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I'll accept all the negativity. If your man can't accept his wrongs and tries to make light of his wrongs, then he's not accepted his problems to begin with. Yeah? Accept it. I don't care. I ain't running for Prime Minister. I'm not trying to be Mr. Right. I don't really care. I know I'm a good person. And I know if people really needed my help, I will go to any measure to help them. I've always been like that.
How do you see the world now, sir, in 2025?
I see it slipping.
Yeah, it's a very strange place. I have to pass comment on things you see, the UK in general. It just seems like a very negative time. Listen, very hard times.
Look, people should be allowed in only if they got permission to come in.
Right.
I don't believe in a lot of these refugees coming in.
Okay.
They need sending back. Or the money they're costing, give them a cheque and tell them to go back home and pay them over there. They're not from here. So, look, to help anybody, you've got to be strong yourself.
Yeah.
I can't help you if I'm begging for bread on that street.
Right.
Yeah? Because if you're begging for bread and I'm begging for bread, what are we going to do with each other? I can't help you really. Then it comes down to our faith, like probably what me and Babar Ahmed had.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that the immigration issue is the biggest issue that we face?
It's one of them because it's making, you know, we've got people here on the breadline, you know, with no money, you know, people's hardly getting a living. Yet, you know, since this Labour's been in, there's 30-odd thousand come in. Where are they getting the money to pay them?
And then obviously people query about money sent to wars, etc. Because Babar's written here, ask him why he supports Palestine, and he's written here, you know he won a recent award for supporting Palestine, don't you? I do know that, but I was going to bring that in. So let's talk about that. Obviously, pro-Palestinian supporter, is that correct?
I support innocent people getting, look, these are riding, that's not sugarcoat things. These are riding a donkey and a cart back to biblical days. Yeah? They've got a Tommy gun and a little bazooka that comes out of a thing that goes over a wall and falls on the floor. Yeah? There's no high-tech stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be straight about the matter. These are dropping hundreds of million bombs on them. They're blowing them to smithereens.
Yeah.
What can be right about that? Any man that believes in the blessed Lord, yeah, and I follow Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ teaches us not to hate other people. It's the opposite. So any man who's got firmly in God beliefs can't do that. But yet, they're always on about it. So what book have they read? What values do they follow? Because I couldn't sleep at night knowing that I blew a family up in pieces. What did they deserve for that? Some money? Some territory? What does that mean? We own nothing.
Right.
We own nothing. We come with nothing. We're going with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Why do that to each other? Why?
Yeah.
Because it is evil. People that's doing that is evil. I don't care who they are. And Israeli people are not evil, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a certain sect of it.
Yeah, they say Zionist is not the equivalent. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't know what Zionism is.
Okay.
To be honest, what religion is that?
Yeah, I think it's an ideology or
Ideology of what?
belief system that perhaps.
It's an ideology of man-made materialistic things.
Yeah.
Of probably some billionaires that's got together.
Yeah.
And this is why we're in the mess we're in. You know, they need to have a good look. But anybody, look, that's why I say it's not about stoking up people to cause revenge and this. That doesn't pay. Revenge is going to happen for them in the afterlife. Because when they shut their eyes, that's when their problems are just going to begin. Because every soul that they've taken will come back.
But you know, you're very vocal about it. Some people, they get shut down when they get involved.
I don't care. Shut me down. You know, don't put me on another boxing channel. Do whatever. It's not as bad as them poor people getting butchered. You think I'm going to sit here and say nothing about it? Because I'll tell you why I say nothing about it. I have to speak. Because when the time comes and the blessed Lord asks me, Peter, why didn't you speak when you knew it was wrong and you felt it was wrong and you said nothing? That's a worse crime than committing it, to me.
No, that's true, but I'm seeing a lot of people, they're getting shut down, censored, can't do this, can't do that, lose this sponsorship, lose this. It's very,
I think it's all wrong. I don't support wars at all.
Yeah.
In any way, shape or form. Yeah. I've been in trouble. I've been to the doctors. You know, we've got the best surgeons in the world, you know, Muslim, whatever culture they are. We're all human. We've got a heart. We bleed the same. We're just from different continents, different cultures. That's it. We are the same people. What do they not understand?
Mate, you're preaching to the choir, but it's lovely to hear you.
But what did they not understand? We are the same people.
Yeah.
So that's it. I don't differentiate. If somebody wants to talk about travels in a bad way, let them talk about it. You know, I'm a travelling man, but I'm not him. I'm me.
It's a wonderful outlook. It's just not. I wish more people could have that.
That's the outlook we need.
Yeah.
And people need to get back to their own core values and realise what's right. Unfortunately, the fast lane and getting money at all cost, this is the problems it's creating.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The values are gone.
Can we touch upon your kind of boxing? Are you training fighters now? What's going on with you, sir?
I'm training my son.
Right.
He's coming back to world title contention. He's getting back. He's had layoffs, but he's coming back.
Why
into
was he
himself.
off, sir?
He had a lot of health issues with food, allergies, and all this type of stuff.
Poultry?
Definitely. Not poultry.
Have you passed on the poultry gene?
No. He can eat it. But maybe if that was his only problem, I'd have been happy. But
Right.
he's had issues like that, but he's coming out of it.
Yeah.
I've got Savannah Marshall, who's an undisputed world champion.
Yep.
I've got other young fighters, Matty Harris. I've got Ibrahim Kohler, young lad. There's a good few in the gym. I've got my brother's grandson. He's doing very well. So yeah, I'm working with a young guy, a Dutch fighter. He's on Friday. He's called Gradus Kraus. I know his father. His father trains him actually. They're good friends of mine. Also Dutch travelling people as well.
Right.
So yeah.
And where is your gym, sir?
Congleton in Cheshire.
Right. And is this your full-time thing? Do you bring up fighters? How does it work? You bring them up and then what happens? Do you manage them or is it a case of you pass them on to someone else?
I do the training and, you know, look, I'm in the gym and I give them some life lessons.
Right.
The thing is, all kinds of things, how to be, you know, train hard. Nothing comes easy. And I only deal with a select number of fighters.
Right.
Because I can't give 100% to every fighter. That means I've got to give them 10% apiece and it's not enough. So I keep the fighters small and I give them 100%. So
what kind of qualities are you kind of looking for? What is it that one looks for to say, right, he's got potential?
Qualities I look for in boxing, it's a corrupt world. There's a lot of deceiters and liars in it.
Right, I've heard that numerous times.
So, you know, there is good people out there. And, you know, be straight with people and just tell the truth. That's it. And I try and teach them to do the same. And that's all you can do.
And the promoting side of things, I've heard that's very kind of deceitful as well. How is that something that you like help with, or do you don't want to be a part of that? How does it? Do you know what I mean? Is that do you kind of look after these fighters as your own throughout their whole journey, or?
Do you know, promoting is not an easy job, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of promoters out there which are good at what they do. I don't get involved in promoting. I know how it works. I know how everything works, but I just concentrate on what I enjoy. You know, I'm 57 years of age. I don't want to be the jack of all trades. If I had to promote and I had to manage, then I can't give the fighters my ultimate time. I've got a circle of people around me who I trust, and the boxing for me is more or less of a hobby anyway, and it's something to give back to society. So it's something where I can give me time back for some good and do good for other people's lives. Because if I can do good for one person's lives, it spreads.
And then just kind of having that Fury name, is it kind of a double-edged sword? Obviously, Fury comes with a lot of, or how do you kind of, obviously, it's your name, but I'm just saying, does it come with a lot of expectancy, or, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I've got no expectancy, I've got no chip, I've got no ego, there's nothing. The only person I pray to on my hands and knees every single day is the Blessed Lord. That's it. And people are not beneath me, and they're not above me. I don't see life like that.
What kind of fighters do you see out there that you really think, you know, what's your top three that you fighters that you really like and respect?
My own fighters.
We love that you represent your own team, and then kind of in your kind of Hall of Fame, who's your top five of all time that you?
Too many, because I can go right back to.
But we've got to narrow it down. Like let's say there was a Mount Rushmore being built, right? And 5 faces are allowed on that Mount Rushmore. The council has said you've got 5 faces. That's it. What 5 are you putting on there?
I'm going to say one of them got to be George Foreman.
Yep. R.I.P.
Because he was a deep Christian rooted man.
Yep.
Muhammad Ali, the same. He was obviously a dedicated Muslim.
Yep.
You know, so all these God-fearing heavyweight greats, definitely. You know, as far as destructive power and violence, got to be Mike Tyson, one of them.
Yep.
All of the good fighters, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis.
You got hold on. We got Foreman, Ali, Tyson. What other 2 faces are on this wall?
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Right.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
There you go. If you got a sugar in your name, you're in. I do this thing where I ask AI to ask you questions. Okay, I've not done nothing. I literally typed in who is Peter Fury, and then I get it to ask you questions. How do you feel about AI and the way the world is, by the way?
I'm not interested in it.
No? It's fascinating, you know. Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions. You may have answered them. If you don't want to answer them, I'm already seeing Tyson's name in a few of them. If you don't want to answer them, swerve them. But I did not write this. Chat GPT, yeah? So I don't want to... No, we'll leave that one because you're not going to like it. Do you think Tyson ducked any fights in his career?
Not too bothered.
Okay, no. Shall I just get rid of the Tyson ones?
Yeah, I'm not interested in it.
Okay. You've openly spoken about your past criminal life. No, that's Tyson. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. There's one about Tyson's mental health. Shall I ask you it or leave it? No. Okay. Is Hughie Fury ever going to win a world title?
That depends on Hughie Fury.
Okay. What do you think?
I think he's got the capability, but can he? We'll see.
Okay. Do you want to talk? Is John Fury out of the picture as well?
Yeah, I don't want to
Sorry,
discuss any family that I don't want to discuss.
No worries. Do you think modern heavyweight boxing is full of fake hype and ducking?
Just repeat the question again.
Do you think modern heavyweight boxing is full of fake hype and ducking, like as in ducking fights? It's more of a business avenue.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. There's a AJ and Tyson question here about who would win that one. Do you want to answer that? No. Who do you think is the most overrated boxer in the heavyweight division?
There's quite a few.
Do you want to name any or no?
I don't upset people.
Do you believe promoters fix fights to protect their investments?
I wouldn't say naturally fix them, but they know who's going to win, so they'll. I call it looking after their fighters. So the longer they can last, the more profile they can get, and a lot of them get hyped up. Yeah.
I mean, some would say it's almost impossible for judges to rig it now because of this how much kind of presses it. But when you see some kind of results and it's so vastly different,
Yeah, it's robbery.
is that,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
corrupt, for sure then.
but can something be done about it in your eyes?
Not once they give the verdict, it's done.
Yeah, but do you think they should have, I don't know, some type of camera scoring or something?
I think, look, if I'm in the corner of a fighter and it's my fighter and it can be my son, you know, if I think he's lost and he's got the win, I'd say, I think you've lost.
Right.
I wouldn't want the win.
Yeah. But there's not everyone shares that.
Well, they should,
Yeah,
because
well.
everybody's got a pair of arms and 2 legs and they're doing the best. So I've got 2 eyes and I can see. I think I understand boxing pretty well, and I can judge, see who's won and who's lost. And I see some absolute robberies there.
Yeah.
And you know, the judges, they must be able to see what we can see. It's not negligence; it's for a purpose.
Do you think they should bring in camera technology, perhaps, or some type of scoring that can't?
Yeah,
like
bring in all this AI shit.
it's true that, but you
Whatever
know,
they want. If it makes it fair, open to anything to make it fair. Yeah.
but you know, the Olympics, they score it as they see it, and we can see those scores tallying up as it's happening. Have you seen that in the Olympics? You can if someone scores a hit, the judges will press a button, so we as the viewer can see those scores accumulating.
Do you know what I think? I think whether it's boxing, whether it's World War III on the cards, whatever it is, I think we can all do better as humans.
Yeah.
I think there's fake people. I think there's corruptness. I think there's everything going on somewhere in every degree of our lives. And I think if people changed their ways and done things differently, we'd be in a better world. And heaven would already be here if that was the case.
Some would say that we're too far gone. Thoughts on that?
It's never too late. The good will always outshine the bad, eventually.
We love that.
Stay steadfast, and that's it.
Ve-
If the world's crumbling around you, do you crumble?
Hell no.
There you are.
Hell no.
There's your answer.
Did you ever witness corruption in boxing firsthand?
Definitely.
Yeah. If you had to pick one fighter you think is performing hard and enhancing. Okay, let's talk about the steroids. You see it a lot. Is it as abundantly clear as?
I suppose it's everywhere now. So, again, it is what it. Look, I'm interested in one thing, boxing.
Yeah.
I don't think drugs helps them anyway.
Yeah. Who wins out of Benn and Eubank? FYI.
They've both got they've both got their different advantages, which makes it evens to me.
What's your money on? What's your millions of that you got under the floorboard? What's it on? Because I wanna follow what you're doing.
I've got no millions on my floorboard. You know, I've even got my pay thing on my phone.
But seriously, if you have to pick one, who are you going with?
It's hard to pick because
Come on, you can't sit on the fence. We got a come on.
Eubank's a naturally bigger man.
Yes.
So is he going to back off Benn, and Benn's going to tire himself out trying to put these shots together, come in, be too aggressive, and get tired later on? Is he going to get caught on the way in, and is Eubank going to tie him up so he can't work, frustrate him to death? He's certainly got the experience to do it. But is young Benn going to come with them punches and catch him all over the place?
Who are we betting on, sir? I need that answer. You're ducking. He's ducking them. I'm ducking it.
I can't give you a definitive answer because
What does your gut go with?
it doesn't.
Really?
No.
You think it
because
could be a draw?
I've got an argument. I've got the same argument for that one as I have for the other one.
So you think it could really be a draw?
It's not going to be a draw. Somebody's going to get stopped.
Knockout or points?
I'd say knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But there's a 20% chance it can go to points. But I'd say 80% the stoppage is involved.
Round? What round you saying?
Well, I don't know.
Come on. 6. Come on. Give me something, man.
Pick what you want.
Give me something,
Pick
man.
in round 1. Could be over.
Do you think boxing is dying as a sport compared to MMA?
No, I think boxing's been around for a good few hundred years now. I think we're seeing good fights. I think more is coming into the boxing. And I think it's growing. And I'm seeing a lot of the younger generations as well coming through. So I think the sport will definitely keep going I think it's getting stronger.
Thoughts on Naseem Hamed? Because obviously Murad's a good friend. He's put us in touch. What was your thoughts on Nas in his time, in his heyday?
He was a great fighter. He was phenomenal. He had a pair of legs like tree trunks. He was strong in the lower body.
Yeah.
He used to get a lot of leverage from short distances because of his legs and the spring he had. So he was a serious talent back in the day.
And the showmanship, is that something that you agree with, or do you think people should just knuckle down and get to work?
No, look, it depends on your personality. If that's you, you know, and you're a showman and you can back it up, do it.
And he backed it up though.
This is what I'm saying.
Let's have it right.
Look, people that can shout and scream and say, I'm this and I'm that, they're doing it. So if people's world champion and they say, listen, I'm going to do this, become a world champion, and they do just that, who can argue with it?
And then fighters like Ben Whittaker, for example, that are kind of doing the showmanship inside the ring, some are kind of frowning upon that, saying that's not the right way to do it. Others would argue, well, that's how you go viral in this day and age. That's how you get bums on seats. What's your kind of stance?
Well, today, if you talk shit, you seem to go somewhere. People like shit, don't they?
Yeah.
Shit sells for some reason. It didn't used to do years ago.
Does that kind of worry you for the future of boxing and where it's going?
Quantity comes over quality.
Yeah.
Listen, do you want to be like 1,000 people or do you want to be individualized?
And then when you see this kind of YouTube boxing and stuff, pairings with perhaps people that you wouldn't, like Tyson and Jake Paul and kind of all of that going on.
I can think that there's not really any harm in that because Mike Tyson's an old man. You know, he's had a lot of money. Jake Paul's made a lot of money. And Jake Paul, you got to give him his due. What a clever fella. I think he's probably got the most money in boxing. So you can't knock him, can you? But if you're asking me on a world level, boxing level, he's not. Of course he's not.
Yeah, I think he called out AJ the other day, which is...
Why not? You know, he's probably going to get another 500 or 600 million. So he's half sensible calling everybody out, really, isn't he?
Do you think it makes a mockery of kind of boxing?
Look, he's the fella's doing his thing. He's not silly to be where he is. Jake Paul will know his limitations for sure. He's not some world level boxer.
And I've got to ask you,
he's a good YouTube boxer.
Yeah.
YouTube boxing and real boxing is different.
Yeah. I probably know the answer to this, but would you ever get in the ring if someone said, right, here's a healthy amount? Would you ever do a pro fight at this age, or do you think there should be a limit on kind of...
Age for a reason. I've got no interest in fighting whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, there's punch bags in the gym. I don't go on them. I'm not interested in fighting at all.
No, fair enough. I've got to ask. Sorry.
Doesn't mean to say I haven't got people who are interested. It doesn't mean to say somebody's going to walk up and punch me in the lips and they're going to get away with it. And what I'm saying is I've got no interest in it.
What's the biggest lie fans are told about boxing? This is AI.
The biggest what?
What's the biggest lie fans are told about boxing?
The biggest lie?
Yeah. No?
No, I don't really...
Okay.
I wouldn't say there's much involved there. They're not really lied to. The only time they're lied to is when they're saying fights are made and they're not.
Fair enough. Would you ever train an influencer boxer like Jake Paul, or is that a joke to you? Would you ever train these kind of YouTube fighters?
Look, if somebody offered me millions of pounds and said, train me, and I'm going to give you 10 million, that's a business opportunity.
Sure.
So then I'd be a fool not to, wouldn't I?
Right.
Because somebody's offering me 10 million to fight somebody who's a YouTube fighter, which is going to be very easy for me, isn't it? So
what if that money wasn't there and it was a passion project?
It couldn't be a passion project because I only train fighters who I believe has got something.
Right.
So that wouldn't happen.
Fair enough. What's the craziest thing you did in your criminal past that you regret? I think we've covered that. Yeah. If you hadn't gone to prison, do you think you'd still be in the crime world?
What kind of a question is that?
AI, mate. Don't start on me.
No. So that's what I mean. AI is not all that, is it?
Yeah. Do you think the authorities targeted you unfairly because of your family background?
Why my family background? I've not been involved in anything.
Yeah. Maybe traveller background. Maybe.
No, that's bullshit again from AI.
Hey, if it's bullshit, just call it out. It's fine.
I am. There's two things there which are stupid.
Is there anyone from your past life who you think is still holding a grudge against you?
There's plenty of devious, jealous people out there, but I'm not interested.
What's one thing you've learned in prison that helped you in boxing?
Prison's helped me in a lot of ways. It's helped me to see who's real and who's not. It's helped me to see people that I see today who pretend they're real, and it's all a false facade. It's like people with a suit of clothes on. You can get the biggest idiot in the prison. He can come out and have his suit of clothes on. He can talk like a gangster, and then he's a nutcase. But you can see the real sides of people. There's plenty of people out there that are very inferior of themselves and very unconfident who profess to be very confident. People live smoke and mirrors today.
Yeah.
A lot.
Very true, sir.
A lot of people just can't be themselves. They feel they have to be a tough guy. They feel they have to be anything. Do I have to feel like I've got to be a tough guy to tell you I'm not afraid? Well, I know.
But when you're young, do you feel like you kind of pushed into that? Like you've got to prove your worth. You've got to prove that you are someone. There's that peer pressure.
Yeah, because peer pressure, your environment, all has a negative side to it.
Mm-hmm.
But can you put really an older and young shoulders?
Yeah.
Have we all got to learn? Some people fall over and they don't learn, they don't get a chance because they end up dying on the street.
Very true.
So it's a hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception people have about you?
Misconception?
Yes.
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good question. I don't know what misconceptions they've got, so I can't answer the question when I don't really know.
Have you ever been threatened or had problems with organised crime since leaving that life?
No.
You know they're having films like, you can't leave this life, you're stuck. Did you ever have that? Like, do you know what I mean? We won't let you leave.
No, not at all.
You just said, I'm out, here's my keys, I'm gone.
Yeah, look, the thing is, the people I knew back in the day, I respect them as people. If I seen them, I'd buy them a drink, we'd have a coffee, I'd even have a meal.
Mm.
We'd probably give each other a kiss on the cheek, you know, or whatever. But at the end of the day, if I know that past friend is up to no good every day, yeah, and they're doing what they're doing, but that's a past life to me and I'm not interested, yeah, because I'm not interested in any financial gain from anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't like what they're doing, why would I be associated with them? Not because I don't like them. It's not because we're mates in the past, so we've got to keep in touch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to keep in touch with you because one, authorities are going to think, and rightly think, why are they together?
Yeah.
He's into crime and he's not, but yet they're together. Because we've got no connection.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there. So I've got no need. So no, I'm not in any criminal circles anymore. I don't socialise with anybody in criminal circles because we don't have anything in common.
Do you ever worry about your past catching up to you?
No, because everything I've done, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I've done the time for it. I've done the time for it and I paid the price. So I can't do any more.
If you could go back and change one thing about your life, what would it be?
I'd have stayed out of prison and led a proper clean life and been more devoted to the blessed Lord.
Not to talk about obviously the issue that I can't talk about, but obviously life is short, etc. Can you see a time where perhaps you can reconcile with family? I don't want to get too involved, but
listen, I love all my family.
Yes.
That's paramount.
That I wanted that out there. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't want it to seem
listen, family's family.
Yes.
But some things are personal.
Yeah, sure.
When I say I don't want to talk about family, it's not because I don't care about them or love them or anything. It's because it's personal.
Absolutely.
I don't discuss my family business.
Yeah.
Because my family mean a lot.
No, absolutely. But I wanted.
I'm not gonna hang or anybody. Look. There's no Prince Harry scenarios here.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm a private person.
Yeah. Would you ever write a book?
People say
you ever thought about doing things like that?
People say write books and they say a lot of things, but write a book about what?
About your life. People can learn a lot from you, I think. Do you know what it is, sir? I've just met you. You come across with supreme honour. So what people have spoken to me about, I can see it abundantly. There's a lot of respect in what you're saying. There's a lot of correct things you're saying.
Yeah, because if I can help someone and I can genuinely do good, and I think that's my calling anyway. I think that's why I'm involved in the boxing.
Right.
So if I can do good things and help people, then it's good. So I'm happy to do things. Who knows, one day I might. But I'm not going to write a book for money or, for fame and all this shit. I'm not interested. So if it helped people, and this is why I do these interviews as well, because people need to know that crime is a waste of time. Not a waste of time. Even if you're making money, it's a waste of time. No life.
I've interviewed people here that have gone to prison and stuff, and they say that the technology then and now is so different. It's not even worth thinking about. Like, there's satellites that can just pinpoint you from where you are. Do you know what I mean? So going down that route is just not smart in the slightest. Do you know what I mean?
What do you identify as real crime, you know? Real crime could be a high-up pen pusher who's got devious thoughts, where he talks to his staff every day and starts manipulating them.
Let me ask you a question. If someone's got to steal to feed their family, is that a crime?
Everybody has got to do what they feel they've got to do to get by and look after the family, but there's other ways. Listen, in this country, let's talk about England because I'm from here.
Yeah.
I can't talk about anybody else because
Sure.
I'm not from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of opportunities here where people don't need to steal.
Mm-hmm.
They can get a honest living. They can earn money. There's opportunities here, plenty. Yeah. From no money, making money is very difficult. So if you got an education and you're clever, and you get a little bit of money, then you open your eyes. There's always doors opening, and you can make money. What it is when you're younger, you want to make money too quick.
Can you just kind of come in a little bit? Sorry, saying
Yeah.
but go on.
Young people want to make money too fast. They've got no patience.
Yeah.
To make money is over a long period of time.
I think I know the answer to this question, but does money buy happiness?
No.
I think with people that I've met that have accumulated a lot of money, a lot of them refer back to the journey as opposed to the destination. Can you relate to that in regards to when they get there and they've got that money, they realize, oh, is this kind of it? Though I don't know if they were expecting more. I don't know if you can relate to that. But a lot of people refer to kind of the journey was where it was at in regards to, I don't know.
We've all had struggles in our life, and sometimes people can think to themselves, oh, if only I had this money now and things would be different. I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change any of the hard times because it shapes who we are.
Mm.
That's number one.
Yeah.
And money don't make the person, not at all. And even people that's got money who want to flaunt it and show it, these ain't real men. And then you've got people where they want to be your best friend, and they want to do business things, and they're the best things ever, and then you introduce them to people, and then all of a sudden you're involved in that deal, and then you get hustled out of it.
Yeah.
And then there's no mention, and then both of your friends fall out with you because they don't need you no more.
Right.
And then you get swerved.
Yeah.
So this is the world we live in. This is what money does.
Mm.
This money comes between a lot of things.
It's an evil thing, right?
100%. So that's it.
Um,
But if you want to bend over and swallow things, and kiss people's asses to get where you want to be, that's another matter. Personally, I'd rather eat grass than live in a field.
well, you can't eat chicken, can you?
There you are. So grass ain't so bad.
Is there a final message you'd like to tell anyone, put out there, sir? I think we've covered most things. Obviously, I am respectful that I can't talk about certain things, and I appreciate that, and I understand that. Do you know what I mean? But is there any final kind of message you'd like to put out to the world?
Yeah, light over darkness all day long. Believe in the blessed Lord. If you don't know the Lord, get to know him, because that's the answer. Your faith is the answer. And be decent and good. Having nice things, and the nice things. And if you go about life the proper way, nice things will come to you. You're young enough. Bear in mind, I spent 9 years in prison on £6 a week. Come out with zero. Yeah? I've managed to turn my life around, make myself fairly comfortable.
How did you do that?
Because I've got my faith. I've got my faith in the blessed Lord, and I've always been a hard worker. That's it. I don't expect things to be given.
Yeah.
Don't expect things to be given to you. Go and earn them.
I want to say thank you for your time, sir. It's been amazing. Well, once again, I really appreciate you coming over here. It's been lovely to meet you. You do come across as supremely honourable. I've been watching that hand for a couple of questions. I thought it was going to come over here, and I apologise. But
that hand's just an hand. It just keeps moving.
But sometimes there's certain questions, because if I don't ask them, I'm going to be like, well, why didn't you ask him? He was right there. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing anybody can say to me which would be personal to upset me.
Is that just time, though, of just... Because I was a bouncer for years, right? And I'll tell you what happens, right? It's like someone swears at you, you punch him in the face. Then someone swears at you and you're all right, but then they swear at you twice, you punch them in the face. And then over the years, it becomes, they have to swear at you 1,000,000 times because you've... Is that a similar type of thing? Has it just escaped you, or is it just becoming older and wiser?
I've just found peace in my life. I'm not interested. I don't feel threatened by anybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be threatened. If somebody said to me, I'm going to come and kill you tomorrow, I'd say, well, okay then. I don't know. We're just what we are, aren't we? Everybody's different, but I think just be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're right with people, they're right with you. And if they're not right with you, you know, keep away from them. They're not for you, are they? So people that's not for you, keep away. There's separation for a reason. Because you don't get on, you don't share each other's values. And what you see in them, you don't like them, they don't like you. You know, there's reasons. So I could be talking, but a lot of people probably might not be able to stand me. I don't know. I don't really care. I go off my own judgment of who I am, and that's it.
But you need that self-confidence to kind of be that person, right?
Definitely. And how do you get that self-confidence? You get that self-confidence through making mistakes.
Right.
Making mistakes, sitting back and learning from them and doing the right things. Because let me tell you, being good to people is your success. Because goodness rubs off on other people.
Very true, very true. Sir, I want to say thank you for your time. It's been amazing.
Anytime.
Absolute pleasure, sir.
Yeah.
It's a deep one. We out.